I took my wife on a 10th anniversary trip to Bali, and I caught her cheating on me. Right now, my world is entirely broken. She is still in Bali, and I returned home early. I suspected her of cheating earlier in the year, but had no hard evidence. I'm at a loss on what to do next. She continues telling me she's not sure what she wants, despite the fact that we've been together for 13 years, married for 10, and she's just recently met this person. I can't even begin to comprehend what she's going through in her mind. It's as if I've been stabbed in the heart. It also seems like he is simply telling her what she wants to hear, and she believes all he says. To make things worse, I'm learning that the guy she's with may be a criminal of some kind. The locals dislike him and informed me that he may have stolen a large sum of money and is hiding on the island. Can I report him to the police, Interpol, or someone else? I simply want my wife back, and I despise this man. But I'm not sure whether I'll be able to go over this. She messages me maybe twice a day right now, just to let me know she's okay and having a nice time. When I receive such messages, I don't believe I can continue with her, but a part of me remembers the good moments and ignores the bad. Please assist me since I'm unable to see well right now. Update. After getting a lot of advice and encouragement from many individuals here, I met with a divorce attorney to discuss my options. Even though it was difficult to make the first step and speak with an attorney, it was very beneficial. I'd be absolutely lost without him and all of the kind folks on Reddit. I sent my wife an email expressing that her actions were not acceptable and that I would no longer speak with her until she returned to America. She spent the following 4 days pleading with me to realize that she needed to have fun and that she hadn't felt like herself since our loss. I informed her that she had made a choice that affected all of us and that I didn't want her to justify her actions. It becomes problematic since there was an earthquake in the neighborhood, so I talked to her a few times during this time, which was a major error. I also made the mistake of communicating with the man with whom she is cheating on me early on. I stopped texting him on the advice of my attorney, but he has sent me countless texts paying me not to rat him out and sending generally unpleasant things. The man is being sought by a large number of individuals, some of whom have contacted me on this site for additional information regarding his whereabouts. I try to ignore it. To make things worse, my wife is still in Bali, where she seems to be residing in this man's house. I thought I was over it when she wrote me an email urging me to come back home, but the guy she is presently seeing also wants to relocate to the area so they can continue their relationship. She claims to have feelings for many individuals and that she needs to visit both of us. I'm not sure what to think of it. Her sister has been a tremendous assistance to me and believes that I should fully break connections, divorce, and move on from her. Her parents are pleading with me to give her another opportunity, hoping that she would see what a ludicrous predicament she is in. She's lost her job here, so I'm not sure how she'd make the adjustment back. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. Although I am formally married, my wife lives in another nation and is in another relationship. Every day when I wake up, I am absolutely befuddled, puzzled, and wounded. It also stings since she behaves as though she isn't to blame for anything. She continues responding, "My hands are chained," when asked how she is feeling. It's as if she has no control over it, and that she loves several people out of nowhere. I get the impression that things are just getting worse for me. This was the worst choice I'd ever made in my life. Story 2. Wife cheated on me before we were even married with our friend or coworker, and I finally left. Me, 33 male, and my STBXW, 31 female, began cheating on each other with her colleague in the summer of 2017, and we married in November of that year. We've been together for 11 years. I'm trying to make this brief, but it's been 3.5 years, so bear with me. It's quite a bit. Here's the chain of events that led to the disaster. STBXW begins cheating with her coworker in the summer of 2017, invites him to our wedding in the winter of 2017, but is unable to attend due to work, invites him into our social life. Her immediate family knows AP and AP wife. STBXW tried to make him my friend and have us hang out. Has at work after hours, in the back of his truck, in the car I'm left with, in our apartment, our couch, our bed. Using this puts us in the summer of 2020. In June 2020, AP wife becomes pregnant. That following month, STBXW and I bought a house. STBXW states that in order to save money, an amateur handyman, may assist us with the work we want done on it. She asks whether it's acceptable if they walk ahead by themselves to get a head start. I know him, and more importantly, I trust him at this point. I've known him for 3.5 years. He's a buddy of mine. I replied all right, but I was still apprehensive about it. They ended up having in every single room of our new house. She had in it before I could even call it home. It's permanently damaged. We've been trying to conceive for a year. STBXW says something to the effect of let me have mine before you get yours one night before having. She stops short of her thinking, but I caught the gist. But there's a catch. That is not an issue for me. I'm not boasting, but I've been with her for 11 years and I've stayed hard even after I've had an. For the last 11 years, she has had 3 to my 1. If we're really into it, I can offer her more. Some guys can't continue after the first, but not me. I let it go, yet it lingered with me. That was my first thought when I awoke. Something snapped, and I went into full X mode. She departed for work, and I ran to her laptop, attempting to read her text messages. If I didn't have access, I searched all of her social media. There is one available. Look through all of a guy's messages. And there you have it. Many quickies, I miss you, I enjoy your arms, they can carry me, sweetheart, are words that will live with me forever. I sent her a snapshot of what I discovered. I was taken aback. Then I had my first panic attack. I contacted my brother and informed him what had happened. She phoned me later, and I went off on her before hanging up. She claims it was physical, claiming she was just flirting the whole time. I was astonished to find STBXW standing there in absolute embarrassment after walking our dogs. She drove home since she assumed I was abandoning her 30 minutes before she showed AP the image and stated his face turned white. Then I requested an explanation. She admitted to having 3.5 years of intercourse with him. When I inquired whether she did on him, she said yes. I realize it's a stupid question, but that's where I went wrong. After I had cooled down, I sat in a chair, stunned. She came over and sobbed, apologizing and begged me to forgive her before hugging me. It all spilled out as I held her. That awful, horrible, agonizing, and never-ending anguish continues to haunt me to this day. It engulfed me. I told her she had broken my heart. I'm shattered. I sobbed uncontrollably. A nasty, ugly wail. I didn't eat much for a week. I was too traumatized to consider leaving. I just discovered that my whole marriage and some transformation were a lie. My identity was stolen, which threw my life into disarray. While traumatized, I was too preoccupied with trying to make sense of things. We decided to attempt to reconcile via counseling, both couples and individual. I lasted 2 months before deciding I needed some distance. I left everything to my parents. This was it, I thought. It's all over. I couldn't go fast enough, but I was so proud of myself that I was going to publish this on Reddit to show you guys that I did. Being apart from her, on the other hand, seemed like severing an emotional limb. It seemed to be self-inflicted. I stayed for 3 weeks and then returned. I was really missing her. That's when I realized that if I decided to leave for good, the consequences would be disastrous. But I'm going to attempt to make amends. We also put off raising a family, since it would be insane to start when we don't know what our future holds. But she has a hard time waiting and knows what I need to go through in order to recover, but she isn't sure how long she can go without having children. The patience she is forced to have is wearing her down. But I understand, there will be a deadline. I told her what I needed from her in order to feel secure. He or she needs to get a new employment. She hardly attempted at first, so I sent a message to AP, knowing he hadn't informed his wife, and that he needed to lead if he wanted to keep it that way. App, on the other hand, informs his pregnant wife. Instead of hearing from him, I receive a call from his father-in-law, who tells me to back off. What? Because they all reside in the same home and intend to move into another. Phil, allegedly, hardly works and watched his money fly away. FIL eventually hands the phone over to AP. The same voice I heard from STBXW, an overpowering AP of humiliation and guilt. I slam the phone down on him and hang up. So there you have it. She wasn't going anywhere and neither was he. She didn't want to leave because if I left, what was the purpose of quitting her job? It also has something to do with her family's company. She believes she has a tremendous societal duty to retain it. The red flag. We are attempting to continue the process of reconciliation, but I thought about it many times a day. Daily adversity. Nothing was the same. Holidays, mornings, evenings, kisses, and everyday encounters. Because of the triggers, our house haunts me. My imagination unravels practically every interaction between them and us, and every day is like a minute D-Day, yet we keep going. We've reached a standstill as of last week. She doesn't think I want to keep doing this, but my PTSD is so severe that I can barely hold it together. 7 months later, nothing has changed. She goes to her unrelated sisters, and we communicate back and forth. We check in every 3 months to see how I was doing and, more crucially, whether I wanted to have a family. I'm sure I couldn't do it. How can I be there for them if I'm battling with myself? With a kid on the way, we'd both be unhappy. That is not something I deserve. I'd also be troubled by the fact that I don't believe it's even mine. That was one of the reasons I decided to leave. Again, she says she can't wait a year, but hopes I'll be ready before then. So, with that in mind, plus the fact that it's 4 months till the D-Day anniversary, and things haven't altered much in over 8 months, and the continued trauma, I decided to go. It was either remain or leave every day, and it was eating at me, as though a bird was plucking out your eyes. It was and still is dreadful. So I'm at a friend's house. Every day since I left, I've been tortured in a new manner. Every bone in my body tells me to return. But I'm unhappy while I'm there. I'm no longer with her, yet I'm still unhappy. But what will happen if I return? Maybe I can adjust and move on, but it will take more than a year. I can sense it. I don't like to admit it, but I need this. It's just for me. For my serenity, yet it isn't arriving quickly enough. I simply want the pain to go away, but I know it will take some time. I know that talking to friends and family members helps, and I'm trying to discover the new me and new activities. I can't stand being alone with my thoughts, therefore I have to keep myself occupied. I didn't think I'd be able to make it here. I never thought I'd be able to write this, but like so many others, the wisdom and vulnerable and terrible experiences you all shared have helped me get here. I want to need to keep going to counseling. It is quite beneficial. Thank you very much. Any advice is appreciated. Edit, to be clear, we are divorcing and are simply contacting to divide our assets. I know I won't be able to go back in time and be happy. My final few lines are a tug of war between my intellect and emotions. I left because my intellect told me to, but my heart longs to return.